words misunderstood, and a future course derailed. Search for meaning for the good, hating what the words entailed. A rebellion they were planning, to defy deity and their blessings. The two brothers conspired, they felt inspired.
I was encouraged from the time of my seclusion with Cadaro to keep a diary, or enscrito as they call it here in Estolia. Once our son became king, the keeper informed me, all that I wrote in my enscrito would be compiled into my ensayo, so that my words might join those of 79 former queens of Estolia. When our first grandson was born, I looked at all that I wrote over the years, in my native language, and I found it was daunting to try to condense and translate all of it. The keeper assigned an elder to assist me, and, though it took a year to do it, my ensayo was finally finished. As our grandson's coronation drew near, Cadaro and I knew it was time to finalize our affairs in this world. My beloved Cadaro spent much of that final year putting the finishing touches on his postulates of inner peace. I decided to have my ensayo read to me, as I never did learn how to read or write in the flowing script of Estolia. I realized only then that the elder who translated for me was not very skilled. There is much within my ensayo that I would have altered, if time remained for me to do so. As it is, Cadaro and I wait only for the birth of our great-grandson, and the coronation of our grandson 7 days later, before we will shed our aged bodies and move on to the extraordinary adventure awaiting us in Torreson. I urge all who read my words to do so cautiously. Do not infer emotions and seek deep significance from what you read within. Know that happiness and joy walked with me all the days of my life. Fleur Zakarian. Postscript to Ensayo 80.
The digital clock proclaimed that it was nearly 2 in the morning. Dominic thought about making love to Jasmine, remembering the event as one of the most exceptional in his life. In spite of their inexperience, it felt as if every move and countermove was choreographed to give them the greatest pleasure, and demonstrate how fundamentally matched they were to one another. There was no awkwardness, only pleasure in each other. He was convinced that deity guided them, ensuring that their memories would be almost as glorious as the actual event. Now that his soul was so safely within Jasmine's keeping, he had the freedom to look back on, and marvel at, the restraint his father had exhibited when his youngest son stated that his intention was to live a celibate life. If his son declared himself willing to forego this exquisite experience, he would want to shake him. His father had allowed both him and Gregorio to declare their intentions to depart from custom and tradition. His father understood how deity worked, how powerful the allure of the aura, and how strong temptation could be. He had faith that both of his sons, as descendants of Zacharias, would experience the unutterable joy of finding their Kaylee and placing their soul within her keeping. Dominic reached out, touched Jasmine and felt the true power of the Kaylee. His soul had been restless and unhappy all his life, feeling the lack of direction and nurturing comfort. Now, cradled and embraced by the most extraordinary soul of the woman by his side, he knew true peace and happiness for the first time. He would write about his youthful experiences, his doubts, his fears, and his insistence on rebellion. Most importantly, he would share his epiphany with other Estolians, his sudden realization that there was a compulsion pushing the men to willingly place their souls in the keeping of the right woman. Perhaps, he reasoned, deity wished for him to experience the fears and concerns of his youth, so he might put it down on paper and share it with other Estolians. Maybe his experience would impact the life decisions of some future Estolian in a way that would be critical to the growth of the nation. Whatever the case, he was willing to be a conduit whereby others might learn from his experiences. He slipped out of bed, feeling the loss of separation from the sleeping woman. His life would now consist of learning how to accept the half-life of distance from his soul, whenever he could not be in physical contact with Jasmine. The men of Estolia were able to do that, but he knew now why they had such exquisite happiness when home with their wives. He put on a robe and went to his study. Sitting at his desk, he bowed his head and thanked deity for helping him overcome the roadblocks in his life, find Jasmine, and give his soul into her keeping. When he finished his prayer, he picked up the phone and dialed his father. He was surprised when Zeke answered the phone.
I am guessing this is Dominic.
Zeke said before he could speak.
Yes, it is.
He said.
I forgot that you were now the keeper.
We are both here.
His father said.
I knew you would be calling, so I made it a point to spend the day with Zeke.
Dominic felt the warmth of love. His father had always had his best interests at heart and allowed him to go his wild way.
I have placed my soul securely within her keeping.
What is her name?
Zeke asked.
Jasmine Merritt.
Dominic said.
She is here with me now.
He added in English.
Hello, Jasmine.
Zeke said.
I am Dominic's cousin and his spiritual leader. My name is Zeke.
Jasmine glanced up at Dominic before saying,
Hello, Zeke.
With me here in Estolia are Dominic's father, Theo, and his older brother, Gregorio.
Zeke continued.
I need to ask you, did you willingly take my cousin's soul into your keeping?
After a slight hesitation, she said.
I was a willing participant.
Another voice came on the line and said,
I am Theo, Dominic's father. I would like to know if you plan to accept Dominic or if you plan to reject him. The keeping of the soul is irrevocable. Once my son gave his soul into your keeping, he cannot take it back. But no woman is forced to accept the man who has given his soul into her keeping. You must decide if you are willing to spend your lives together.
Jasmine turned in Dominic's arms and looked up at him. She said,
I could never reject Dominic. My only concern was whether he would decide, after getting to know me better, that I was not really what he wanted. The only way I could leave him would be if he sent me away.
He hugged her, feeling her slender frame against his and wanting nothing more than to return to his bedroom and explore their sensual connection. Zeke said,
I have instructed Helix on his duties over the next 7 days for your seclusion. On the 7th day, you will finish your seclusion on the flight to Estolia, arriving at dawn so the spirit might sanctify your union. Take this time to seal the bond you have created. Know that deity is pleased with the choices you have made, and that your experiences will, as I am sure you have surmised, help future Estolians in times of great trial. As with any Estolian asked to make sacrifices, your blessings will be commensurate.
Congratulations, Dominic.
Gregorio said.
I look forward to discussing with you this most profound experience.
Welcome to the family, Jasmine.
Zeke said.
We look forward to meeting you.
Dominic's father was the last one to speak.
I have one final piece of wisdom I would impart. I would encourage you to read the postscript to Ensayo 80. I believe that the lesson you learn in doing so will be extremely useful.
It was late the next morning before Dominic had the chance to follow his father's suggestion. They were lying together in bed and he saw the ensayo on his nightstand. He picked it up and flipped through the book, to the back. He had never read the entire ensayo. When he read the simple explanation, and her final words, he closed the book gently, caressing the cover idly while he thought about the series of events that brought him here, to this occupation, to be with this woman. If he did not skip the postscript, he would have made life choices far removed from the ones that brought him the happiness that was now overflowing in his heart and soul. He caressed Jasmine's shoulder and said another prayer of thanks to deity for guiding him from the youngest of ages to meet this woman at this time.
The joy of discovery, the revelation, the words of the postscript, his people's redemption. A rebellion they were planning to defy deity and their blessings, but two brothers conspired, they felt inspired. Kedaro did not abduct his queen, he didn't murder her brother. Now he knew that they had loved one another. Deity's plans were furthered.